everyone, it is Jazz here. Now I know that this video is extremely belated and I should have had it out like December or January, but it didn't happen. Actually, I did film it, but I was getting over the illness that's around the world right now, and so thus it was a little discombobulated, so I thought I'm going to refilm it. Today we are going to be talking about my 2022 to be read list, which I make every year. But in addition, because I am now into the Storygraph vibes, they have a whole slew of different reading challenges created by different people that you can go ahead and do. And so thus, I'm going to talk about the reading challenges that I'm joining for 2022. First, we're going to start with the yearly to be read. Now, because I'm filming this video so late, I have actually read a couple of the books on this list, and I'm going to go ahead and quickly give you a star rating of those books, what I've thought of them, just to kind of have a little bit of variety. First book I have here is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I have not read a Jane Austen in a really long time, and this one sounds awesome. I'm not 100% sure what the entire story is, but I don't really want to know because it's so rare that you can read a classic and not already know like most of the story. So I want to keep that rare feeling up for myself. I am pretty sure though this is a second chance romance, and I do like me some Jane Austen. I think she's very clever, so yes, excited to enjoy this one as much as most people do. Next, we have one that I have already read in January, and this is All This Time by Mickey Daltrey and Rachel Lippincott. It's the story of two teenagers that have to kind of help each other overcome a lot of obstacles. My general thoughts were, if you're just looking for a quick YA read with some pretty writing, this is a good one, but otherwise it's just kind of okay character-wise, and the plot kind of needed some tweaking in my opinion. So I gave this 3.5 stars. Next up, I would like to check out A Farewell to Arms by Ernest Hemingway. I've surprisingly never read an Ernest Hemingway, but I am intrigued, and I think that he does, from what I've heard, write with really short sentences, which is my jam. I do have a feeling that this one's gonna be super sad and it's gonna break me, but that's okay. There's lots of those on this list. Up next is Seth Baumgartner's Love Manifesto, which is one that I have already read. It was actually the first book I think that I read in 2022. This one is about a teenage boy named Seth who experiences a lot of unfavorable instances on one day. Like, his girlfriend dumps him, and then he sees his father on a date with a woman that is not his mother, and he decides to explore the meaning of love through his podcast. It's a very enjoyable, young adult, fast-paced, funny yet introspective book. I enjoyed my time reading it. Maybe it could have gone a little bit further with the concept, but otherwise, definitely would recommend 4.5 stars. I've read the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis, and I have read his book Mere Christianity, which I quite enjoyed. I love both of those. And I wanted to read more C.S. Lewis, so I've decided to pick up Till We Have Faces. I know that I've heard great things about some of his science fiction series work, but I kind of didn't want to have too many serious things on this list. There are a couple of things, but not too many, so I thought I would go for one of his standalones and kind of read more of what his adult literature is about. And I believe this is also based on mythology. It's a retelling of Cupid and Psyche, so I'm excited to try it out. Also wanted to try more Louisa May Alcott. I still haven't made it through the Little Women series because, again, series books, not my skill, but I love Little Women, and so thus I did want to try a shorter Louisa May Alcott book, so I'm going to give The Inheritance a go. I I actually did see the TV movie adaptation of this, and I kind of am intrigued to kind of delve into the minds of the characters more, because I did, for the most part, really enjoy it. It seems like a short, sort of heartwarming read. And oh, I just noticed that it says my first novel written at 17, so I'm wondering if this is her first novel. This one just seemed like a fun novel. I picked it up at a indie bookstore on vacation last year, and it is Nick Hornby's Just Like You. So I have read About a Boy and A Long Way Down, and I really loved Nick Hornby's ability to kind of explore deep topics through humor. And so this one, I believe, is about a older woman who kind of becomes involved in a relationship with a younger man after she's like gone through divorce. So it doesn't sound like my normal fare of a book, but I think because it's Nick Hornby, I'm going to enjoy it. We're coming down to the last 5. The next one is the one that scares me a little, and it's because it's very heavy and very large. And somehow I'll finish it, even though I'm a slow reader. And that is 2 Green Angel Tower by Tad Williams. This is the 3rd and final book in the Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn series. I'm very excited for this because I do want to see what happens to Simon and the gang of peeps that I already know and love from the other 2 books. But man, this is well over 1,000 pages. But I really do enjoy a Tad Williams book, so not too scared. I thought that I should throw a short story collection there because I rarely read them. And if you're gonna do short stories, I feel like Daphne du Maurier is the way to go. So I don't know, maybe a year or 2 ago, I acquired the audiobook of The Birds and Other Stories by Daphne du Maurier, and I'm gonna give that a go. I have a feeling that the Birds story is gonna be way different than the Hitchcock film, and I'm okay with that, but I do just really like her writing. And she makes short stories, which aren't necessarily my thing all the time, usually pretty fun. Only really read her short story collection, The Doll, but I did really like it. So I hope to like this one equally as much. Next up is The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. I've always wanted to read a Toni Morrison book. However, Beloved is just too triggering for me. Like, I did try to read it. I do think the writing in it, from the little that I read, was great. But it's just a very traumatic book. And I did see the movie, so I know how traumatic it is. And I was like, this is a movie you watch once for its greatness, and then you don't watch it again. So when I tried to read the book, I couldn't, it was too triggering for me. And her books are, from what I understand, kind of intended to be extremely hard-hitting. So I know that this one will probably also be extremely hard-hitting, but I think I could maybe do okay with this one. The next one is another one that I have already completed. That is The Drawing of the Three, which is the 2nd book in the Dark Tower series. And I have been trying to get to this 2nd book for a long time, but the timing never was right. Like, the first time I tried to pick it up, I was moving, and it's just not a good time to start sci-fi fantasy sometimes when you're moving. So it just took me a while to get to it, but I highly enjoyed it. It's definitely dark because it's Stephen King, but the pacing is excellent. The action is excellent. The stakes are really high, which keeps you really invested. The characters themselves are super intriguing. So thus I gave this one 5 stars. And lastly, we of course have the Shakespeare Play of the Year. As you recall, last year I forgot to pick a Shakespeare Play of the Year and then proceeded to pick one mid-year that I told nobody on YouTube about, but did tell Instagram about. And then I didn't read it. I didn't read the book that I had chosen. Just didn't. People even voted for it and I didn't read it. But, here's my chance to redo. Actually put it on the reading list. And I intend to attempt to read The Winter's Tale in the year of 2022. 2022. Now let's talk about the 4 reading challenges that I joined on Storygraph. The first 3 are all music related because you know I love me some music. So the first one's called New Year, New Wave 2022, hosted by Nobody's Poet. This is a reading challenge all centered around 80s, for the most part 80s, new wave music. So each song has a prompt. I've also discovered that I am obsessed with new wave music. Like, it's bringing me such joy in 2022. So it's really good that this inspired me to like rekindle my love of new wave, because it has brought me great shiny happiness. The next 2 are Taylor Swift related. So I spent a lot of 2021 listening to Folklore and Evermore. It's because it's the perfect travel music and it's the perfect homework music. And sometimes it's just nice to listen to in general. I also feel like they're very literary albums, and that just makes me have a literary little dance of joy going on. The Folklore reading challenge is created by R&D. I believe that's how you say their username. Basically, each song on the album has a prompt. You read a book for that prompt. It can be done in any time, so I don't have to finish it this year, which, considering that's a lot of songs on that album, you know, that's probably a good thing. Another one that is similar to that is the Evermore reading challenge created by Brooks Books. And this is the same premise where each song has a prompt, and also that you can finish this challenge whenever you want to. The final challenge that I've joined is the Dark Tower Read-A-Thon. So this is a year-long read-a-thon, and it is created by Sela Reads, as well as I think a couple of other people. They do have a link to the Discord in the description of the challenge if you would like to check that out. Obviously, the theme is to complete the Dark Tower series in a year, as well as a few other books that are closely connected with that series. As some of you may know, Stephen King does have kind of his own universe where a lot of the books are interconnected, and these are books that I guess the creators feel like are the most closely connected. I've been trying to complete the Dark Tower series forever, and I really want to do a Stephen King book ranking video, and I don't have to read all of his books to do it, but I do feel like the point of the ranking videos that I've watched for Stephen King book ranking videos is that they have at least read the entire Dark Tower series, and I feel like that's why you watch them, is to see where they rank the Dark Tower books, and I have not read all the Dark Tower books, so we're gonna do this. And then also, extra plus, it is kind of scheduled throughout the months where I get to read non-Dark Tower books, but Stephen King books, or a lot of them, that I haven't read before. I think the only one on this list that I've read before is Salem's Lot, but I'm real excited to reread it because I love Salem's Lot. So that is the entire reading list to be read video. Drop me a list below of a couple of books that you would like to read in 2022 in the comments. Maybe I would also like to read them, because it could be real cool. And thank you for watching, my fabulous peeps. I will see you all later. Bye!